Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the quantum interference patterns dancing across her holographic display, her hands trembling slightly as the implications sank in. After 3 years of investigating anomalies in Earth's quantum communication network, she'd finally found proof of what she'd suspected all along: systematic sabotage by their supposed allies in the Galactic Federation. The evidence was hidden in the quantum noise, subtle distortions that seemed random but formed a clear pattern when viewed across thousands of transmissions. The Federation's quantum engineers had woven a deliberate degradation into the very fabric of the network they'd helped humanity build, ensuring Earth would remain dependent on their technology, while never achieving its full potential. Sarah took a deep breath and encrypted her findings before sending them to Admiral James Rodriguez, head of Earth's Defense Council. Within hours, she was summoned to a secure facility beneath the Himalayas. "Walk me through it again, Doctor," Rodriguez said, his weathered face illuminated by the same quantum interference patterns. The chamber was filled with Earth's highest-ranking military and scientific leaders, all watching intently as Sarah explained how the Federation had betrayed them. "They built backdoors into every quantum relay they helped us install," Sarah explained. "The degradation is cumulative. The more we expanded our network using their specifications, the more compromised it became. They'd been artificially limiting our development while gathering intelligence on every transmission we make." Admiral Rodriguez's jaw tightened. "How long have they been doing this?" "Since first contact, 15 years ago." Sarah pulled up another display showing the evolution of Earth's quantum network. "They presented themselves as mentors, helping us join the galactic community. In reality, they were ensuring we'd never be able to challenge their technological supremacy." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had celebrated joining the Federation, seeing it as a step toward a bright future among the stars. Now they realized it had all been carefully orchestrated to keep them contained and controlled. "Can we fix it?" Rodriguez finally asked. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Better than that, Admiral. We can turn it against them." She brought up a new set of equations. "Their sabotage gave us unprecedented insight into how their quantum technology works. My team has spent the last year developing something they never anticipated, a way to bypass their entire control system." She gestured, and a new hologram appeared. A radical redesign of Earth's quantum network that would not only eliminate the Federation's backdoors, but leap beyond their level of technology entirely. "They thought they were clipping our wings," Sarah continued. "Instead, they gave us the key to understanding quantum mechanics in ways they never imagined. We've achieved breakthrough after breakthrough trying to overcome their sabotage." Admiral Rodriguez studied the technical specifications, his expression hardening. "How long to implement these changes?" 6 months for a complete overhaul of our core network. Another 3 to extend it to our entire fleet." Sarah paused. "But here's the critical part. They won't detect any of it. Their backdoors will appear to be functioning normally while we build an entirely new quantum infrastructure right under their noses." The Admiral nodded slowly. "Begin immediately. Total compartmentalization. No one outside this room knows the full scope. Let the Federation think their plan is still working." Over the next 9 months, Earth underwent a silent revolution. While maintaining a facade of technological dependence, humanity's brightest minds worked tirelessly to implement Sarah's breakthroughs. The Federation's quantum network became a Trojan horse, allowing Earth to study their technology, while developing far superior systems in secret. Ships were retrofitted in supposedly routine maintenance cycles. Military bases upgraded their communications under the guise of standard improvements, all while the Federation's monitors showed exactly what they expected to see: a species still stumbling through their first steps into quantum technology. The first real test came when the Federation's annual inspection team arrived to check Earth's quantum infrastructure. Sarah watched from a hidden command center as they conducted their scans, her heart pounding. But the deception held. They saw only what Earth wanted them to see, missing the vast network of advanced quantum systems operating just beyond their understanding. Final phase is complete, Admiral, Sarah reported 3 months later. Every ship in the fleet has been upgraded. We can sever their control whenever you give the order. Rodriguez studied the latest intelligence reports. The Federation was preparing to implement the next stage of their plan, a quantum barrier that would isolate Earth's solar system, cutting them off from the rest of the galaxy under the pretense of protecting them from supposed external threats. They still think we're helpless children, Rodriguez mused. Time to show them how much we've grown. He turned to his command staff. Alert all fleet commanders. The moment they activate their barrier, Operation Silent Strike begins. Sarah returned to her lab, knowing these might be the last quiet moments before everything changed. The Federation had spent 15 years underestimating humanity, treating them as primitive beings to be controlled and contained. Their greatest mistake was giving humans a puzzle to solve, a challenge to overcome. Nothing spurred human innovation like someone saying something was impossible. When the Federation's quantum barrier shimmed into existence around the solar system, they expected it to be the end of humanity's galactic ambitions. Instead, it was just the beginning. Earth's ships slipped through it as if it wasn't there, their advanced quantum drives making the Federation's best technology look primitive by comparison. The silent strike had begun. Humanity was about to show the galaxy exactly what happened when you tried to cage them in. Commander Maya Patel's stealth ship drifted silently through the heart of Federation space, its quantum-masked hull rendering it invisible to even the most advanced detection systems. The Federation's busiest trade route stretched before her, a highway of ships flowing between their core worlds. Her target was among them. A massive automated cargo hauler carrying quantum communication relays to the Federation's outer colonies. Target in range, her tactical officer whispered, though the Federation couldn't have heard them even if they shouted. Quantum signature confirmed. Maya nodded. Deploy the beacon. A microscopic quantum device, barely larger than a dust particle, detached from their hull. It drifted toward the cargo hauler, its own masking field making it as invisible as their ship. Within moments, it attached itself to the hauler's hull, immediately beginning its work of rewriting the quantum relays in its cargo hold. Beacon active, the tactical officer reported. That makes 37 deployment points. The network is growing. Project Oracle had been Admiral Rodriguez's masterstroke, using the Federation's own supply lines to seed their space with Earth's advanced quantum technology. Each beacon would infect the relays it traveled with, turning them into nodes in humanity's secret network. By the time the Federation realized what was happening, Earth would have eyes and ears throughout their entire territory. Maya checked the mission clock. Time to next target. 6 hours to reach the Centauri shipping lane. We'll need tow. The tactical officer stopped mid-sentence, staring at his display. Commander, you need to see this. Maya moved to his station, her eyes widening at the data streaming across the screen. The infected relays weren't just gathering intelligence, they were revealing fundamental flaws in the Federation's quantum infrastructure. Their entire network was built on outdated principles, maintained through bureaucratic inertia rather than innovation. They've been stagnant, Maya breathed. All these centuries of ruling the galaxy, and they stopped pushing their technology forward. They just kept building the same systems over and over. She immediately sent a quantum-encrypted burst transmission to Earth Command. This wasn't just an intelligence operation anymore. It was a revelation about the true nature of their adversary. Back on Earth, Dr. Sarah Chen processed the incoming data with growing excitement. The Federation's quantum network was like a massive computer running on ancient code, never optimized or upgraded. Their fears about humanity's rapid advancement suddenly made perfect sense. They were terrified of any species that might discover how far behind they'd fallen. Their entire power structure is built on maintaining the illusion of superiority, she explained to Admiral Rodriguez. They don't share technology to help other species develop. They do it to ensure everyone builds using their outdated systems. It's not mentorship, it's control. Rodriguez studied the tactical displays showing the spread of Project Oracle's beacons, How long until we have full coverage? Another month at current deployment rates, but that's not the most interesting part. Sarah brought up a new set of calculations. We're not just gathering intelligence. Each beacon is a potential quantum bridge. Once the network is complete, we'll be able to move ships anywhere in Federation space instantly. The implications were staggering. The Federation's greatest advantage had always been their control of quantum transportation networks, but their complacency had left them vulnerable to exactly the kind of radical innovation they tried to prevent Earth from achieving. Throughout Federation space, stealth ships like Maya's continued their silent mission. Each infected relay became another piece in humanity's growing web of quantum bridges. The Federation's own trade routes were becoming humanity's secret highway into the heart of their territory. Maya's ship had just finished deploying their 43rd beacon when the first signs of trouble appeared. A Federation patrol vessel was showing unusual interest in a cargo hauler they tagged 2 weeks earlier. "They're doing a deep scan of the relay shipment," her tactical officer reported. Standard inspection protocols would never go that deep. Maya frowned. Someone's getting suspicious. Time to accelerate the timeline. She opened a channel to Earth Command. Project Oracle may be compromised. Request permission to move to Phase 2. The response came swiftly. Permission granted. All Oracle ships, commence simultaneous activation of quantum bridges. Time to show them what those relays can really do. Throughout Federation space, hundreds of infected quantum relays simultaneously activated their hidden capabilities. The Federation's carefully controlled quantum network shuddered as humanity's superior technology asserted itself. Early warning systems blared as their sensors detected thousands of quantum bridges forming between systems that should have been safely isolated. Maya allowed herself a grim smile as she gave the order. "All hands, prepare for quantum jump. Let's give the Federation a proper demonstration of human innovation." Across the galaxy, humanity's hidden fleet prepared to emerge from the shadows. The Federation was about to learn that their greatest mistake hadn't been trying to contain humanity's development. It had been giving them access to any quantum technology at all. Because once humans understood the principles, they'd inevitably find ways to improve upon them. The silent strike was about to become very, very loud. High Counselor Vextrol's crystalline form vibrated with growing panic as emergency reports flooded the Federation's central command chamber. The quantum network was transforming before their eyes, its carefully regulated pathways warping into configurations that should have been impossible. Most alarming were the energy signatures, human signatures, appearing simultaneously across dozens of key systems. "How?" he demanded, his crystalline voice cracking. The barrier was perfect. Their system should be completely isolated. First Speaker Andra of the Technical Division manipulated the holographic displays with her 4 arms, trying desperately to make sense of the cascading changes. The humans, they didn't break through the barrier. They were already here, hidden in our network. The gathered council members watched in horror as humanity's true technological achievement revealed itself. The quantum relays they'd relied on for centuries were being rewritten by an influence they couldn't even detect, let alone stop. Their own network was turning against them. "Shut it down," Vextrol ordered. "Shut down the entire network." "We can't," Andro whispered. "The commands aren't being accepted. We've lost control." That's when the first human ships appeared, sleek vessels unlike anything in their records, emerging from quantum bridges that bypassed all known physical limitations. The Federation's most heavily fortified systems found themselves hosting unwanted visitors that their defenses couldn't even target properly. Admiral Rodriguez's holographic form materialized in the center of the council chamber, his expression stern but not unkind. "Members of the Federation Council, we need to talk about the future of galactic civilization." Vextrol drew himself up, trying to maintain some semblance of authority. "This is an act of war. The Federation has ruled for 10,000 years. And that's precisely the problem," Rodriguez interrupted. "You've ruled through technological stagnation, forcing every new species to adopt your outdated systems, punishing any who dare to innovate. We've seen your records, accessed your archives. We know everything. The council chamber erupted in overlapping protests and denials, but Rodriguez continued undeterred. Did you really think humanity would just accept the limitations you tried to impose? Every obstacle you placed in our path became a puzzle to solve, every restriction a challenge to overcome. On displays throughout the chamber, evidence of humanity's technological leap displayed itself. The quantum principles the Federation had thought sacred were being casually rewritten. Mathematical proofs that had stood for millennia were being rendered obsolete by human innovation. Impossible, Andra muttered, her scientific mind struggling to process what she was seeing. Your species is barely a century into quantum physics. You can't have surpassed 10,000 years of development. A new hologram appeared, Dr. Sarah Chen joining the transmission. That's where you're wrong. We didn't have 10,000 years of assumptions holding us back. We looked at quantum mechanics with fresh eyes, saw possibilities you'd forgotten existed. She gestured, and the displays showed the elegant simplicity of Earth's quantum innovations. You built your entire civilization on quantum technology, then stopped trying to understand it better. You turned science into doctrine, innovation into heresy. Throughout Federation space, human ships were appearing near research facilities, military installations, and government centers. But they weren't attacking. They were broadcasting the truth about the Federation's technological stagnation, sharing innovations that had been suppressed for centuries. Your choice is simple, Rodriguez declared. The Federation can transform or it can end. But humanity will not allow the galaxy to stagnate any longer. Vextrol sank into his crystalline throne, finally understanding the true magnitude of their mistake. They had feared humanity's potential for violence, their capacity for destruction, but that was never the real threat. Humanity's most dangerous weapon was their relentless drive to understand, to improve, to innovate. The Federation had spent 10,000 years building walls to maintain their power. Humanity hadn't just found a way through those walls. They'd proven the walls themselves were built on flawed foundations. As if reading his thoughts, Rodriguez's hologram smiled slightly. You tried to contain us because you feared change. Now you're going to experience more change than you ever imagined possible. The galaxy is awakening, Counselor. The age of stagnation is over. Throughout Federation space, oppressed species were already receiving quantum technology packages from Earth, gifts of knowledge that would free them from dependence on Federation systems. The carefully maintained hierarchy of galactic civilization was crumbling, replaced by something new and dynamic. The Great Awakening had begun, and there was no power in the galaxy that could stop it. The Cretal were the first to break free, a species of brilliant mathematicians forced to calculate quantum trajectories for Federation ships while denied access to advanced technology themselves. When Commander Maya Patel's stealth ship emerged in their system, they didn't see invaders, they saw liberators. Your calculations were always perfect, Maya told their chief mathematician, offering a quantum core that contained centuries of suppressed human innovations. The Federation just gave you broken tools to work with. Let's see what you can do with real technology. Within days, the Cretal had mastered principles that the Federation had declared impossible to understand. Their natural mathematical intuition, freed from artificial constraints, led to breakthroughs that even Earth's scientists hadn't conceived. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. The Shintari, relegated to mining raw materials with primitive equipment, revealed themselves to be natural engineers once given access to advanced quantum technology. The Vorathi, forced to serve as couriers due to their natural speed, turned out to be tactical geniuses when allowed to truly understand the ships they piloted. Dr. Sarah Chen found herself coordinating a galaxy-wide technological renaissance. The Federation didn't just hold us back, she explained to Admiral Rodriguez as reports of innovations flooded in. They suppressed dozens of species that could have pushed quantum science forward centuries ago. The Federation's carefully maintained hierarchy was dissolving. Species they had classified as primitive were proving to be anything but their unique perspectives, leading to innovations that challenged fundamental assumptions about quantum mechanics. Earth's quantum network transformed from a tool of liberation into the foundation of a new galactic society. Species that the Federation had kept isolated from each other began collaborating, sharing insights that spawned entire new fields of science. This was never about replacing the Federation's control with our own, Rodriguez observed, watching the real-time display of newly formed quantum bridges connecting formerly isolated worlds. It was about letting the galaxy's potential finally express itself. The Cretal were the first to break free, a species of brilliant mathematicians forced to calculate quantum trajectories for Federation ships while denied access to advanced technology themselves. When Commander Maya Patel's stealth ship emerged in their system, they didn't see invaders. They saw liberators. Your calculations were always perfect, Maya told their chief mathematician, offering a quantum core that contained centuries of suppressed human innovations. The Federation just gave you broken tools to work with. Let's see what you can do with real technology. Within days, the Cretal had mastered principles that the Federation had declared impossible to understand. Their natural mathematical intuition, freed from artificial constraints, led to breakthroughs that even Earth scientists hadn't conceived. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. The Gentari, relegated to mining raw materials with primitive equipment, revealed themselves to be natural engineers once given access to advanced quantum technology. The Vorathi, forced to serve as couriers due to their natural speed, turned out to be tactical geniuses when allowed to truly understand the ships they piloted. Dr. Sarah Chen found herself coordinating a galaxy-wide technological renaissance. The Federation didn't just hold us back. She explained to Admiral Rodriguez as reports of innovations flooded in. They suppressed dozens of species that could have pushed quantum science forward centuries ago. The Federation's carefully maintained hierarchy was dissolving. Species they had classified as primitive were proving to be anything but their unique perspectives, leading to innovations that challenged fundamental assumptions about quantum mechanics. Earth's quantum network transformed from a tool of liberation into the foundation of a new galactic society. Species that the Federation had kept isolated from each other began collaborating, sharing insights that spawned entire new fields of science. This was never about replacing the Federation's control with our own, Rodriguez observed, watching the real-time display of newly formed quantum bridges connecting formerly isolated worlds. It was about letting the galaxy's potential finally express itself. But not everyone embraced the change. Federation loyalists, species who had benefited from the old hierarchy, began mobilizing their fleets. They saw their privilege slipping away as formerly inferior species gained equal access to advanced technology. The last remnants of the Federation's ruling council gathered in their ancient citadel on Prima Centrum, their final stronghold. Through quantum-shielded windows, they watched their capital world transforming. The rigid geometric patterns of Federation architecture were being replaced by structures that defied conventional physics, built with technologies born from the combined insights of 100 species. High Counselor Vex Troll, his crystalline form dulled with stress, faced the inevitable. The combined fleet of the new Galactic Alliance had surrounded the system. But unlike the Federation's shows of force, these ships brought not threats but opportunities. Admiral Rodriguez and Dr. Chen materialized in the council chamber, accompanied by representatives from dozens of formerly suppressed species. The Cretal mathematician, whose calculations had revolutionized quantum shielding. The Gentari engineer who had transformed mining technology into tools for environmental restoration. The Vorathi tactical expert whose strategies had rendered traditional space combat obsolete. The Federation is finished, Rodriguez stated simply. But its people don't have to suffer for their leaders' mistakes. Chen activated a holographic display showing the transformation spreading across the galaxy. Quantum networks evolved beyond their original design. Worlds once stripped for resources now flourishing with restored ecosystems. Species that had been deliberately kept apart now working together. their unique perspectives spawning innovations that benefited all. Your fear of change led you to impose stagnation on an entire galaxy, Chen explained. But look at what happens when species are allowed to grow, to innovate, to collaborate freely. The display showed the results of just 3 months of unrestricted development. Quantum technology had evolved more in that time than in the previous 1,000 years of Federation control. Problems that had been declared unsolvable were yielding to the combined efforts of multiple species, each contributing their unique insights. "We're not here to humiliate you," Rodriguez continued. "We're here to invite you to join something greater than the Federation ever was. Your species have knowledge and capabilities that could benefit everyone, if you're willing to share them as equals rather than hoard them as rulers." Vextrol looked at his fellow council members, seeing the same realization in their reactions. The Federation had justified its rule by claiming to maintain order among chaos, but the galaxy had proven them wrong. Given freedom to interact and innovate, different species naturally found ways to collaborate and complement each other's strengths. "The Federation is dead," Vextrol announced, his voice carrying the weight of 10,000 years of history. "Let its passing mark the end of imposed order and the beginning of natural harmony." Throughout the Citadel, quantum barriers dropped as Federation loyalists laid down their arms. The revolution that had begun with humanity's resistance to control concluded not with destruction but with transformation. 1 year later, the Galactic Alliance celebrated its formal founding on Earth, chosen as neutral ground by the member species. The principles were simple: unrestricted sharing of knowledge, respect for all sapient life, and protection of each species' right to develop according to their own path. Sarah Chen, watching ships from 100 worlds moving through Earth's quantum bridges, reflected on how it had all began. They tried to cage humanity's potential. She mused to Maya Patel, who had become the Alliance's chief of exploration. "Instead, they gave us the key to freeing the entire galaxy." "That's the thing about humanity," Maya replied with a smile. "Tell us something's impossible, and we'll find a way to prove you wrong. Tell us we can't help others rise up, and we'll start a revolution of innovation." The Federation's quantum barrier, still visible as a shimmer around Earth's solar system, remained as a monument, not to humanity's imprisonment, but to the moment when they proved that no cage was strong enough to contain the drive to grow, to improve, to reach for the stars. A new dawn had risen for the galaxy, and this time, every species would be free to help shape its future.